What up, though, everybody? This is Kyle, and you are watching Knockouts and Three Counts. And if you've been watching any of the news on social media, which we're all locked up in the house, we're sure you are. AEW had a huge show last night. They had a couple of big arrivals, one by the Revival, and you had you had the MMA world made its way to AEW as well. So before we get started, Dev, throw out your social media and let them know where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Devin63. That's DEVINTHE63. You can find me on Instagram at All Steak No Sizzle. That's one word. And make sure you join the Reality Era News group on Facebook.
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Detroit Knockout. Make sure you're following the show at KO3C Pod on Twitter and Instagram. And if you aren't already, subscribe when you see this video on YouTube with us on our channel, Knockouts and Three Counts. So let's get into it, Deb. AEW had quite the big night last night. What are your thoughts?
I thought it was a really good episode of Dynamite, man. Jam-packed with surprises. Got an update on Britt Baker. Definitely looking forward to talking about that. Surprise from a bunch of MMA fighters, man. We'll jump into it, but a lot of surprises. The Revival, like you said, they debuted, and we'll jump into it, man.
I thought overall it was a good episode for sure. I really was a big fan of them. Kind of like, I like that AEW is kind of letting Matt go back and forth between pretty much all of his personas if he wants. I kind of like that. I think it's a different look on the broken thing. Obviously, like you said, Mike Tyson had some backup. I don't know why they were all MMA fighters, but we'll get into that. But yeah, dude, all in all, great show. What do you want to hit first?
I actually want to talk about Britt Baker first, man.
Okay. What are your thoughts on the whole Britt Baker thing? If for those of you, if you didn't watch the show, Britt Baker rolled out and had her rules of being a role model with Reba, as she called her, or formerly known as Rebel in TNA, out there with her.
Oh, that's Rebel?
Yeah.
Oh.
You didn't know that?
I watched TNA/Impact sparingly, but yeah, I remember the name. But the reason why I said that is because, like, I was looking at her, I'm like, damn. Reba's thick as fuck, man.
I mean, bro, it's kind of hard not to look at her and remember, dude, because, boy, look, say what you want, call it what you will, dude, but she's a damn good-looking woman. So she came out, Britt Baker started giving her little rundown on her rules of being a role model. First of all, what do you think? What did you think of the segment? And what do you think about her going forward with the injury? Obviously, there was definitely something to what happened on Dynamite.
Well, first, let's go back to last week's Dynamite when the injury happened. As soon as it happened, I thought something was wrong. For those of you that didn't see it, basically, Statlander and Hikaru Shida did a double hip toss on Nyla Rose onto Britt Baker in the corner. And the way where Nyla Rose landed, she landed directly on her leg. As soon as it happened, I'm like, oh, that's not good. And then she kind of reached for her leg a little bit and kicked out of a pinning attack. And then, like, she took a suplex or something like that. But as soon as it happened, I'm like, something's not right. Because the way all that, and this is no disrespect to Nyla Rose, but all that weight landing on your leg like that and where it landed didn't look good. I automatically thought she, like, tore a ligament or broke her leg. And come to find out, she did have a tibial fracture. And I think she had a couple of sprained or torn ligaments in her knee too. But I kind of like where she's going with this. She basically turned it into a big conspiracy theory between Nyla Rose, Hikaru Shida, Statlander, and Aubrey Edwards. And for those of you that listen to the AEW Unrestricted podcast, Britt Baker was on there last week talking with Aubrey Edwards, who's one of the hosts with Tony Schiavone. And in her conspiracy theory, she basically mentioned that pretty much every time she's gotten hurt in the ring, when she had a concussion during this match, and loosely when she broke her nose, Aubrey Edwards was there. So basically, I don't know how they're going to turn this into a storyline down the line.
But it was Aubrey Edwards' fault.
It was me. It was me, Britt Baker.
Me, Austin, it was me. Anyway, yeah, man, I like it. I mean, I think it's given Britt some character. I think before when they were trying to play her as the baby face, I think it kind of just came off a little bland. So I think this is giving her a little bit more of a character. Hopefully this will give Rebel a chance in AEW as well, you know, like snapping off on her.
Right.
All in all, I think it's a good thing. But what the hell is it with Tony Schiavone and like he's got all these women that are his friends, but all his friends like love to just boss this dude around. Like
well, I don't know if you listen to Tony Schiavone's podcast, but he's got like this weird relationship with like all women.
I know. I know.
So I guess I decided to go ahead.
Have you ever heard him talk about his wife? I mean,
true. But I'm talking more about like, you know, women in the wrestling business. Like he has like a weird relationship.
Listen to him talk about Deborah.
Yeah, Deborah,
Medusa.
Francine.
Medusa.
He's got this weird obsession with Francine. It's just weird all around. So it only makes sense that, you know, on camera he has this weird dynamic with the ladies too.
Hey man, like I said, Tony Schiavone's a legend, so you get a pass here and there. Another thing that we saw on Dynamite was, you know, Cage and Taz came out. First of all, with you being a Taz guy and all that, you know, we talked about your thoughts on Cage being with Taz. What are your thoughts on the matchup with him and Moxley that's coming?
I'm interested to see how they build towards that. I'm not sure when they're going to have it. I'm assuming it'll be like late June, early July. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they build towards that match.
Whenever that is.
Yeah, I don't think they have a date announced yet because I remember seeing the date. They just kept saying in the summer.
Yeah, so, something about the summer.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to the build for this one. They got up to a pretty good start. You know, Moxley coming out to watch the match that Cage had against Lee Johnson.
Why is Lee Johnson getting his ass whooped every time this dude goes out there? They just throw this dude to the wolves and he's getting his ass whooped. Shit, he was the poor bastard that got beat up by Moxley when he came through the crowd to come get Brody Lee. He was the poor bastard that ate that gnarly forearm.
I'm pretty sure Lance Archer's whooped him up a few times.
Oh, Lance Archer's beat the dog shit out of him. Dude, Lance Archer, like, it's one of the most badass entrances ever because he just beats the dog shit out of everybody on the way to the ring. Like, the poor young boys in Japan got to be happy as hell that this dude left Japan.
It's funny you bring that up. Archer was on Jericho's podcast not too long ago talking about, you know, their time over in New Japan. And so, you know, he was talking about how that was his thing where he would beat up young boys and stuff like that. So I forgot what show it was. I want to say it was World Tag League or something like that. And basically, Jericho had to let Archer know, like, hey, don't beat up all the young boys.
Yep, I heard that.
I need a couple for something I'm doing later on that night. But yeah, what were we talking about? Taz. Yeah, Taz and Brian Cage. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the build for this. Taz, like you said, I'm a big Taz fan. He has one.
No.
We'll see. I mean, I think it got off to a pretty good start. Taz has a little bit rusty. I could tell
I was
he
gonna
flubbed
say
a couple
about that
lines in
because I
there.
noticed a couple times he kind of flubbed himself up a little bit. But Taz is a legend. I'm not shitting on him. I'm just saying you could notice he kind of
Yeah,
got
but
a
give
little.
him some time. He'll get back
Oh,
into it.
right.
But yeah, his tagline is one of my all-time favorites in wrestling
And he
history.
gave
Man.
it to Cage.
Beat me if you can, survive if I let you, man. One of my all-time favorites, man.
For
So
sure.
anytime I get to hear that, man, I'm all for it, man. What about you, sir?
I like it. I mean, I don't think it's a bad move to put Taz with Cage. It's a little surprising being that Cage, even though he's a big jacked up dude, I mean, he's still a high flying guy, which Taz has never been. So that was a little surprising to me. Other than that, I think it's a great move because I mean, Brian Cage has never really been too big of a talker. So I think putting a guy like Taz with him is a good move. I do hope though this kind of goes better than the last run we saw with Taz with somebody with Joe. I mean, it was great when it started and it kind of fizzled out. I hope they can come up with enough things to kind of continue to make it fresh and keep it rolling, like to really incorporate him as part of Cage's character. Um, all in all, man, I like it so far. I mean, it's still kind of early to really know which way we're gonna go with it. Speaking of early to know which way we're going with things, what do you think thus far of what they're rolling out with the TNT title? We now heard from Cody that the title is going to be defended every week on Dynamite, and that it's an open challenge. An open challenge for it. And we saw the Battle Royal. First, we should talk about that. First, we had the Battle Royal in which Jungle Boy was victorious, but we saw a little chink in the
Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
Hey, past guest of the show, Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Maybe not guest of the show, but we've got interviews with Jack Perry, which are in the description. You can hit the links in the description and check that out from StarCast 4 in Baltimore. Yeah, man, he got the win, and we saw, like I said, we saw a little bit of dissension between Wardlow and MJF. What do you think about the Battle Royal? And what do you think about the winner?
Can I just say that Orange Cassidy has to be one of the most interesting wrestlers in the business right now. Period. He's over as hell, and I'm still trying to figure. I guess not figure it out. I'm still trying to figure out how they're gonna pay all this off. Earlier in the day, he walked through Jericho and the Inner Circle's interview, and you saw that play out later in this match where Santana and Ortiz came out and beat him up with the soap sock, as I like to call it, and messed him up before the match. But towards the end, basically, it came down to Jungle Boy Jack Perry and Orange Cassidy. And most of the time, Orange Cassidy, he's going through his bullshit. He's lazy. He does his normal thing. But man, when he turns it up, the guy can go, man. And I would I want to see a match between Jack Perry. I gotta stop saying that. Jungle Boy and Orange Cassidy now, man. I really want to see that match.
So, I think, what do you think with the MJF and Wardlow thing?
MJF said Wardlow. First thing that was about Wardlow.
Oh, he's getting the ring out.
The Dynamite Diamond ring. Oh, bingo on Wardlow. Big mistake by MJF.
Oh, yeah, MJF and Wardlow, I'm interested in seeing where this goes. They definitely have to get – I think they need to get MJF in a title picture. Personally, I think he should be going for the title, but it might be a little bit too soon for that, so they want to build him up a little bit. But they're going to have to put him in a title picture eventually. But if they're going to the path of having him and Wardlow split up, might be a little soon because pandemic. He was kind of
why so soon?
He was kind of gone for a while with the pandemic, and basically coming back, you split them up. But it has to happen eventually. Maybe they're gonna slow play this over a long while, and this is just like the first little seeds of it. Hopefully, they'll do it for now, and we'll forget about it for a few months. And then, maybe something else pops up at the end of the year, and they'll just play it out over like a year or two, even. But I like to pair it, man, and I hope they keep it going for a little while, man.
I mean, so for me, I don't know if I'm the only one that does this, but whenever I watch a battle royal match, man, like I find myself kind of like surveying who's in the match and kind of looking at it like, okay, there's this guy, and this guy. These are the guys I probably can see at the end. Right. And when I was watching it, like I immediately was thinking, Jungle Boy and MJF. But, I think if what they are leading to is breaking up him and Wardlow, to me, that seems a little quick. But it seems a little bit quick. Also, me personally, I don't know how well I can see Wardlow doing by himself either. Because we don't know if he can talk like that.
Right. And that's another thing, man. It's like, if you do split them up, what do you do with Wardlow after that feud's over?
MJF would be cool either way.
Right. And I guess that's one thing that I think about a lot. Is like, okay, all right, we can do that. That's a storyline we have, MJF versus Wardlow. But afterwards, what happens? And I guess I'm the type of person, I try to look down the line. And basically, once you get past it, Wardlow and MJF, once you get past that feud, I don't really know what you do with him next. We don't know a lot about Wardlow, so maybe he can talk. Maybe he can go out on his own. But we'll have to see. But I just hope they keep them together a little bit longer.
Yeah, as far as Jungle Boy winning, I'm not mad at that at all. I think he's got a huge upside, and we'll see what happens. As far as that match, though, I don't know that I see him taking the title off of Cody, but I think it does a good job of showing Jungle Boy as a legitimate threat on his own by him winning that battle royal and being the first one to challenge him. I think it gives him a little bit of legitimacy on his own that I think maybe, he needed a little bit more of because of, the stigma with his dad and stuff like that. I think that helps kind of put him out there a little bit more.
Right. And they gotta do something with that. They gotta do something with that title, man. It's distracting.
I'm not a fan of that title. I looked at it. I'm like, really? That was it? Like, you got the AEW title, which in my opinion might be the best looking title in wrestling right now. And then you got the TNT title, and you're like, really?
And to be fair, they said that it's not finished. Because of the pandemic, they weren't able to get it finished. But you gotta get that thing done, man. I'm sorry.
You tell me they didn't know that title was coming a long time ago.
You gotta get that thing done, man.
I don't know. It just doesn't look good to me. So that brings us to the elephant in the room, man. This is the thing that started what we saw in the. Oh wait, before we get to that, what'd you think about Matt Hardy and the Young Bucks, man?
The Bucks of Youth. I thought this was a pretty good match, man. We kind of talked about it on the show this week about Private Party, man, how they need to clean things up. They did a lot better on this episode. Joey Janela, man. Joey Janela is a guy. I like Joey Janela, but I don't know what like the end game for him is going to be. I'm still trying to figure out like what his ceiling is in AEW.
Who says
Like,
he's
I don't know.
a ceiling though?
What's that?
Who says he's got to have a ceiling?
Well, okay, I don't. I guess the question I'm asking is like, can I see him with the
Can you see
AEW
him as
championship?
the champion?
And I don't know.
I mean, I think they're still trying to establish that, but I think like putting him in matches like that, I mean, I think they got to build a lot of their guys still. I mean, again, they're still a young company, so
Right. And I guess with me it's just I look at guys and I try to figure out, okay, where could I see him in a few years? And like with him, I don't know, man. I could definitely see him holding the TNT championship, maybe find a tag team partner and winning a tag title. But could I see him with the AEW championship? Bucks and Hardy, I mean, for like, I guess if you know like those guys' story, it was pretty interesting because pretty much all of them, everybody in that match was influenced by the Hardy Boys in some way, shape, or form. Like the Young Bucks looked like early Hardy Boys. Private Party has definitely talked about how Hardy, yeah. Private Party has talked about how they were, inspired by the Hardy Boys. You watch Joey Janela wrestle, you can definitely see he was definitely a Jeff Hardy fan at the least. But I thought it was a good match, man, and it told a good story during the match and after the match too.
what do you think of the different persona for Matt, though?
I think I'm going to enjoy this.
I love the fact that they're letting him have, multiple different personalities. I think it's a great touch. It's a different way to make it fresh again on something that he already had success with in Impact Wrestling. As far as the match, I think it was a good one. I think it's a good thing for them to use right now while we're in the pandemic. I'm interested to see what happens once we get out of this, to see, really how they form the broken mat thing. Because I believe they wanted to bring him in, to be part of AEW, but I just, like the whole thing with him being teamed up with the Bucks right away, that I think might have been kind of like, just in my opinion, seems like it kind of might have been changed. But let's see what he does after this, because, now that they're bouncing him around, you never know what Matt Hardy you're going to get. Yeah, like I said, it was cool because it was something different. We've never really seen him look like that, or at least not in quite a long time.
I just need more Matt facts.
Matt facts.
Matt Hardy hates mustard. That was a Matt fact back in the day. That was definitely a Matt fact.
Oh, I'm sure it was. So let's talk about it. You had at the end Chris Jericho saying that he wants some of Mike Tyson and all that stuff.
Wait, whoa. We're not going to talk about the fight between the Bucks and the Booker and the Blade and then the Revival?
I was going to get to that, but
oh, my bad. Oh, my bad. I was going into the arrivals, but it would have worked with it. But either way, let's get to it then. The first big one we had, obviously the one that I was alluding to, was what happened with Mike Tyson. But dude, the Revival showing right up to AEW, I don't think it's really a surprise they went to AEW. I mean, everybody knew, there was the deal between them and the Bucks. But at the same time, man, I don't know that I expected them right there, but I liked what I saw. I'm surprised they helped the Bucks, and I feel like there's going to be a definite heel turn, obviously, whenever they go against each other. I like it. I'm surprised it was this quick, but I like it. Well, I don't think you need a heel turn. I think you could just have two teams that are over.
Who's the better team
and respect.
Who's the better team? Kind of thing.
Yeah, two guys that respect each other, that have been talking back and forth about who's the best, and then they settle it in the ring.
I agree, that works too. I mean, either way, I think it's something that at least the internet wrestling communities wanted to see for quite a long time. like I said, man, that's it's definitely interesting. I mean, the Bucks and Hardy in the match had quite the quite the chemistry there. Matt Hardy, helping get, was it Isaiah Cassidy that got hurt?
That was Mark Quinn.
It was Quinn. Yeah, I couldn't remember which one got hurt, but one of them got hurt. Matt Hardy helps him to the back, bringing out Revival, or excuse me, the Revolt.
Wait, I thought they were FTR.
That's what they're calling them, but I think I don't know if it's Free the Revolt, what it is at this point. It used to be Fuck the Revival. So I don't know, man. Either way, I'm excited to see him in an AEW ring. What are your thoughts?
Real quick, man. I really like that truck they rolled out in, man.
That bitch was cold, dude.
What is this? Another truck pulling up to Daly's place.
Hey, wait a minute.
Oh my God!
Wait just a minute.
Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, FTR. What are they doing here?
Well, I think they came to fight.
But who?
Oh, I think I know who. Don't you think you know who?
I think I know too. They have had a war of words with the Young Bucks for years.
It was
Yes,
called.
sir. What were you saying? My bad.
I said, what were your thoughts on them coming to AEW that quick?
I think if we weren't dealing with this pandemic, I think they would have bounced around to a couple different places before coming to AEW. I was listening to an interview with them where they kind of alluded to that fact, how they had different places they wanted to go. I think they wanted to spend a little bit of time in NWA. Maybe just pop up for like a couple of episodes or something like that. Maybe
I thought that too. I thought, especially when I saw the stuff with Ricky Morton, I thought they'd show up there.
I could have definitely seen them popping up in the Crocker Cup, which dang, that would have been there. But I mean, I guess if it's a good time to introduce them, it's right after a pay-per-view. It's a good time to bring them in. With AEW, with them only having really 4, we'll say 5 pay-per-views a year. I guess we'll count Fyter Fest as a pay-per-view. And the long builds in between, you definitely need to kind of refresh things after a pay-per-view. It's like a reset. So bringing in your new talent is probably a good move.
So here's the question now. I hope for one that Fyter Fest is better than last year, because last year it kind of had like a weird feel to me.
I always try to. When I think about Fyter Fest, I try to ask myself, do I really want to count it as like an actual pay-per-view? Because it was a part of like a little
more of a special.
Yeah, like it was a part of like I guess like a video game convention or something like that, or
CEO.
Yeah. So.
And that's why they had the guy from the company in that match, which I think never should have happened because I thought that was horribly bad.
Right. And plus that was like before they officially launched their television, so I guess it was just, hey, here's a free show for you guys to enjoy while you wait for All Out and Dynamite to launch. So I guess I tried not to be too critical of that show, but yeah, it was weird.
I'm just saying the vibe of it. Not even.
I don't think
it was just weird to me.
Oh no, some of the wrestling was weird with the owner of the thing wrestling. That was weird.
Or slamming motherfuckers on Legos and
video game controllers and stuff. Yeah, that was weird. But yeah, they're gonna have a crowd this time, man. So you don't have to really worry about that. I think it just be a regular pay-per-view.
We shall see, man. So, all right. Mike Tyson called in the reinforcements. Although, surprisingly enough, none of those reinforcements came from the boxing world. What I'm talking about is you had Rashad, you had Henry Cejudo, you had who else was out there? You had Brett
TRT.
You had Brett Rogers from Strikeforce on there.
Wait, that was Brett Rogers?
Yeah.
I gotta go back and watch it again.
I didn't notice
I
it.
thought he was.
I didn't notice it either.
I thought Brett Rogers was in jail.
No, I don't know, man. According, who was it that told me that? It was Liam, past guest of the show, Liam DeMond, Cage Side Management CEO. He was the one that pointed it out. I could be wrong. He said it was Brett Rogers. Either way, the three that we just named, though, Henry Cejudo, who just recently retired from the UFC right now, former double champ. Then you had
Triple C.
Right. Triple C. You had TRT, Vitor, and and Rashad Evans. You see what I did there? But yeah, dude, it was crazy. The Triple C and TRT connection was coming in rolling deep for Mr. Mike Tyson. So what are your thoughts on him bringing out all the MMA guns, and do you think there should have been boxing guys?
Well, first, I didn't recognize Rashad Evans at first, man. I didn't know he grew his hair out. And he looks thinner than I normally picture him, man. So I'm looking like that. Look like Rashad. What is that, Rashad, man? Vitor I recognized right away. Henry Cejudo, I didn't really see him at first because he was behind somebody. Then I'm like, oh, there you go. It was another guy with him. I'm still trying to figure out who this guy was.
I don't know who the hell that guy is.
But
I know what you're talking about, the guy in the white shirt that was ripping his shirt.
Yeah. I thought it was weird that it was MMA guys and not boxing guys, but we've seen Mike Tyson at UFC events, working with some of the MMA fighters. He interviewed I know he interviewed Ngannou recently on his podcast, Hot Boxing. So he has sort of a connection with MMA, but yeah, I would have thought maybe it was best some boxing guys out there.
Do you feel like it was a ripoff of Tyson and Austin?
Oh, 100%.
Jericho and Iron Mike Tyson fighting the inner circle. My God, our guests, Mike Tyson and company, are raising hell as a fight in the ring. Look at Hager trying to get him some. Cody trying to restrain Tyson. It's a damn street warfare here. Jericho struck the first blow, and Tyson didn't take too kindly with it.
This has completely broken down. Chris Jericho in the center of this melee.
A lot of combat.
And that's what I was going to get into, man, is I don't know if this is the right move, because basically once again you try to set yourself different from WWE, but here you are basically reenacting what happened 20 years ago. Wait, yeah, 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago. Shit, I'm old.
Yeah,
and
that WrestleMania.
But and let me know what you think about this, man. Having Mike Tyson talk, I don't think is a good move, because it honestly, and having him act, I don't think that's a good move either. It was a point where Jericho was in his promo and Mike Tyson was playing wrestler, man, and it honestly it started to annoy me a little bit. And I think Jericho realized it was starting to get off the rails, and he just like, all right, let's just get to the money shot here. Hey, apologize, but I felt like sometimes you can't have non-wrestling people doing wrestling things.
I can agree with that, because when Mike got in Jericho's face and is doing like this and all but like putting his chest right up in his mouth, I'm like, what are you You can't tell me that you, of all people, that's what you would have been doing in a fight, first of all. Number two, what is up with Mike Tyson all of a sudden ripping his shirt every time they're going to fight? Let's go, bitch, I'm the Hulk. Like, what? Like, what?
Wait, and then he was struggling to rip the shirt, man. I'm like, dude.
And then when he got on the mic, he's like, "You a sucker. You a sucker." I'm like, dude. I'm like, all right, this is. You can definitely tell when it started to get off rails. But when he's going, "You a sucker, though. You a sucker." I'm like, man. Like,
hey, I thought he was about to say WWE Championship at one point. Like, yeah, because you stole the championship. I'm like, oh, don't say WWE. Don't say WWE.
That would have been hilarious, bro. Oh my God. Could you imagine the memes that would have been put out when considering the fact that this is so much like Tyson and Austin? Tyson and Austin left such an imprint that 20 years later. So all in all, man, I mean, I think it's a good move trying to bring in, obviously, Cejudo was a good move. Rashad was a good move. Vitor even was too. I don't know that you needed the whole entourage, but I mean, I get it for what they're trying to do. I don't know what it really accomplishes. I don't know if we're going to see any of them again. Do you think they're going to go to a Tyson versus Jericho match now?
Do you have a message for him? Or?
Hey, I'm telling you, this is not over. I'm coming back, and Jericho's going to get his ass kicked. Yes! Yes!
That's what I'm about to say, man. Like, do you have a match? Like, you almost have to have a match.
Kind of do now. The fact
and it's like
the fact you brought him back the second time.
I just think I don't know if I want to see that, man. Like, I want to see it just because I think it'll be such a train wreck. I have to watch it, but it's like I don't know if it's gonna be good.
You know,
I doubt it would be good.
I give them credit for having the balls to shoot the shot. At the same time, I don't know that it's such a good idea because here's the thing. I am more than happy to see Tyson back in the ring. I think the fact that he's going to fight again, I think that's cool. But you bring him back now to do the wrestling thing, and it shows that it's not something he does every week. To me, it's kind of like it kind of kills some of the luster. I don't think it's the same thing as like when they had him on in WWE, obviously. I mean, obviously he's a lot older.
Right.
I just don't know how it really helps, right? Because, I mean, you got Jericho and Tyson, which are going to do a rating, but what are you going to do with that? Because Jericho, do you want Jericho to lose again? Because Mike Tyson ain't going to lose.
I don't know. I think you have to have a match, and I just don't know how that will work out, man. I don't know how good it will actually be.
Do we have a rerun of Marty? I almost said Marty Jannetty. Of Roddy Piper and Mr. T again?
No, because I think that was like personal. Like these are two guys doing business here.
Well, I think
I
think Roddy and Mr. T was supposed to be business too, but it didn't play that way.
Well, you gotta realize too, man. Like Roddy Piper, this was like back in the day. This was like the '80s, so Piper was trying to protect the business. And right now, Jericho's a businessman, so he knows what's going on. So he,
No, but I'm saying, do you think they box versus a regular wrestling match?
Oh, I thought you were talking about like that. Okay. That might be the best move because Mike Tyson trying to coordinate Tyson in a wrestling match. I think that would be a disaster. I think you have to do this in boxing.
I think if anything, we're gonna have a boxing match is what's gonna happen.
I think you have to.
Because in a wrestling match, I feel like that's risking too much for Mike, and it could kibosh the whole thing.
He can't even do a promo without, he can't even rip his shirt in a promo.
It's like one of those meme videos where you see the guy get up on the camera and do one of these like, "What up, bitch?" I don't know, man, but all in all, I thought it was a great episode of AEW Dynamite. I don't know really where we go from here. I wonder if we're going to see any more of Henry Cejudo. In AEW, we'll have to see. Make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel, man. Deb, do you got anything? Any last thoughts for AEW?
Oh, real quick, man. Anytime that Chris Jericho and the Inner Circle has a segment, I'm here for it because I really enjoyed the pep rally, man. Now, mind you, the crowd wasn't there to make it even better, but
Guerrero made that awesome.
the poem by Jake Hager was great. I don't know, man. Santana and Ortiz, man, are like low-key hilarious, man.
Oh,
Vicky Guerrero introducing them.
Ortiz is hilarious, bro, with them tiger claws, bro.
Hey, so shout out to past guest of the show, Kale Dansby. Kale's from New York, and he's the person that introduced me to chopped cheese. But not, personally, but like listening to them talk about the show. So I'm probably gonna hit up Kale and ask him what he thought about that when Santana gave Ortiz that chopped cheese. he didn't hesitate, man. He just started tearing into that motherfucker, man, and sitting there chewing it on that chopped cheese sandwich.
Hey, man. The funny thing about it, though, is they still are able to keep themselves tough, though.
Yeah. Like, I honestly, that's the tag team I'm waiting to see, them start pushing a little bit. I think right now they don't need it right now because they're in the Inner Circle. They're doing a lot of great things there. But eventually you're going to have to put the tag titles on those guys, man. I can't wait for, when they get their moment.
Hey, man, those guys definitely got to get a run with the title. They had a damn good match at Full Gear. Ding, ding. I was there. So, like I said, man, they're underrated. And I love the fact that they're able to do that comedy stuff, but you still know in the back of your mind, they'll knock your lights out with that damn mad ball, bro.
Tiger style.
I mean, if I were them, I'd just stick to the mad ball. That seems to be working pretty effectively.
Soap sock. I call it soap sock.
Hey, man, call it soap sock, call it whatever you want. It's pretty nasty, but whatever you call it, man, this was our review of this past week's AEW Dynamite. Make sure you stay tuned. We're going to be doing another prediction video for the next UFC pay-per-view, June 6th. We will have Corey back on here with us. Devin will be on here. And we'll be bringing Seth Gudek on this time to run with us. So make sure you tune in. Here are our thoughts on the fights. Comment in the comments. Let us know what you thought of AEW Dynamite. Do you think we know anything about what we're talking about? Or are we full of shit? Let us know in the comments. Let us know your picks for the fights. At KLTCPod on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at Detroit Knockout, Detroit NOKOUT. And make sure you check out Dev as well. And make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss any of the great content. Like I said, in the description, there's all the links to our interviews with the guys from AEW. So after you get done watching this video, go give those a gander. Dev, throw out your social medias.
Oh, you froze up there for a second. My bad. You can find me on Twitter at Devin63. That's DEVINTHE63. You can find me on Instagram at Allstate.
You froze it.
So that's one word. Make sure you join the reality where I froze it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean I gotta do it all over again.
No, you're good.
Okay.
You're good, dude.
Devin63 on Twitter. But yeah, Reality Air News on Facebook. Check us out, and yeah, I guess that's it for me.
Hey, make sure you check us out this Tuesday at 9. Tell them a little bit about our guest before we get out of here.
Our guest is a hip-hop producer from the great state of California by the name of Marcus Precise. He's worked with favorite artists, man. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. He's worked with some of my favorite hip hop artists. He just dropped an album this month. He has Murs on there. He's got Talib Kweli, Faye Sean. He's worked with Odyssey, Elzai from Detroit. Plenty of great underground and, well-known hip-hop artists. So looking forward to having him on the show, man, and, chop up a little bit of wrestling and talk about his project.
But you forgot what we're gonna be talking. Like he said, we're gonna be talking a little bit about wrestling. You've got NXT in your house next Sunday. We're gonna talk a little bit about that. Talk about the matches we've already got going there. Like I said, I like the ode to the in your house thing. So make sure you stay tuned this Tuesday at 9 p.m. live on our Facebook. We will be live, like I said, with our special guest. Also, make sure you stay tuned to the channel so you don't miss any of our prediction videos, any of that good stuff, and all the great content we're trying to bring you. Stay home, stay safe, and don't catch the Rona. Peace.
That's my line.